Hey guys, so I'm starting this new series where I answer questions that you guys have asked me in the community. And in this video, we'll be talking about how to make your websites more responsive. So how do you make it look similar on mobile, or at least fit properly on mobile? And I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of what a bad design would look like here. Okay, so I've created an A tag, 3 of them, and I put them inside of a div, and we're styling it with padding and margin here, which is in pixels. So if we go and check this out in the browser, we have these 3 links here which are on the left hand side of the page, and I'm going to right click and click on inspect here, and I'm going to select this mobile button here. So this will show you what it looks like on mobile, and you can see that the links are now messed up. And that's because of the margin pushing this third button onto the next line, and then it's covering up the first button and stuff. It looks really bad. So let's see how we can fix this. So if we head back into our HTML file, let's try first doing this by styling the div instead of each each A tag separately. So let's give this a class of nav, and we'll try styling that. So I'm going to remove everything except for the padding and the aqua color. Going to save this and look at how it looks first. So they are on the left hand side, but that's not really what we wanted in our main design. We wanted them to be spaced out a bit. So what I'm going to do is, on the nav class, I'm going to do display flex, and a flex layout or a flex box is one of 2 ways that you can neaten up the stuff on your page. So the 2 ways are flexbox or grid. I personally use flexbox. I don't really use grid that much or at all. And to use it, we have 2 options. One is justify content, and the other is align items. And basically what they'll do is, justify content will control how items are displayed using the width of your page. So you can have them spaced out evenly, or you can have them centered. And then align items controls how items are aligned vertically on your page. So you can do the same thing in a vertical direction. Now we don't really care about the vertical direction here, we just want to style this horizontally. So I'm going to say here, justify content, space between. And what space between means is, it's going to, if there's this much space, it's going to try and put the elements inside like this. So there's an equal amount of space between them, and actually it won't use the space around them. It will only control the space between each element here. I hope that makes sense, but we'll see a demonstration anyway. There's also space around, which does include the space around elements when it's calculating how to lay them out. And let's look at space around first, and then I'll come back and change it to space between. So this is what space around would do. It leaves a bit of gap here and here, and it also leaves the same amount of gap in between each element. If I head back and change this to space between, and I save and go back, now we have a larger gap between each element, but no gap between the element and the edges of the page. Okay, so another thing we could do is we could use position, relative, and absolute. And I'm just going to get rid of the extra A tags here, because that's not really meant for styling more than one tag at once. So here in the nav selector, I'm going to remove all of this, and I'm going to say position relative. And I'll explain what relative is in a second. In the A tag here, I'm going to do position absolute. Actually, let me leave the color in there, position absolute. So what this means is, with position absolute, we're sticking this somewhere on the screen. And with position absolute, it doesn't care what's under it or something, so this can overlap stuff. Basically it's just stuck to the top of your screen. And if it's inside of a position relative element, so here we got it inside of a div and the div is position relative, then it will allow us to position this relative to its container. So I'll show you what that means now. I'm going to do top and I'll say 50 pixels here, and this will move it 50 pixels down from the top. And then I'm going to say left 200 pixels, so let me just type that out here, and this will move it 200 pixels from the left. Now right now the div is just covering the entire screen and I'm basically just positioning this wherever I want. But if we were creating a component, for example a card or something, that would already have a fixed width or something, and we could use position absolute to position this somewhere inside of the card. But right now this video is not really about components, so I'm going to head back here. So the last thing we could look at here is media queries. I'm going to show you how to type this out, but I'm not actually going to use it right now. That's just because I don't really use media queries myself. I usually use a library that has them pre-written for me. So to do this, we're going to type @media, and we're going to use our normal brackets here, and then our curly brackets just like we would to create a CSS selector. And inside of this normal brackets, we're going to type max width. And then inside of the curly brackets, we're just going to style it as normal, so .nav. And notice that I'm creating another selector inside of the media selector that we already have. So what this would do is it would style our .nav class, so this one, but only at the max width of whatever we set here. So I'm going to set this to like 720 pixels. And yeah, we can create other media queries like this for different size devices, and then we could display different styling based on the width or based on other properties. Again, I'm not really going to go into media queries a lot here because I don't manually type them out myself. If you guys are curious about how you can find the tools I use for automatically getting those media queries, you can either use Bootstrap. So this is a library that will have a lot of CSS and classes and stuff pre-written inside it for you. It's taking a bit long to load up here, so I'll show you the other one while we wait. And that is Tailwind CSS. Now this one is a bit more complex. It's actually styling through JavaScript, and it grabs those elements through the classes. But yeah, this will create a lot better designs than you'd see on Bootstrap. But again, it's styling with JavaScript and it's a bit messy to use. If you're using a framework like React, this is definitely the way to go. But if you're just creating something simple, you just want to use Bootstrap here. It has some classes. I'll just show you some examples here. So these are the types of stuff you can make with Bootstrap. And they're pretty easy to use. All the classes are pre-written. You don't need to write the CSS. You just add the classes to your HTML elements. And yeah, so that concludes this tutorial on how we do responsive design. If you guys have any more questions or something, make sure you either leave them in the comments or in one of the community groups. And I'll see you guys in the next video.